episode is brought to you ad-free thanks to all of our wonderful patrons. You can help us keep the show going by joining at patreon.com/shonenflop. And welcome to this episode of Shonen Flop, where we talk about manga and Shonen Jump that didn't make it big. I'm David.
I'm Jordan.
Next week, we'll be covering Akaboshi. If you'd like to read along with us, be sure to join the discussion in our Discord and submit your 6-word summary. You can find a link to our Discord in our episode description and on our website, shonenflop.com. But this week, we are talking about Super Smartphone, and we are joined by our guest today, Neysha. Woo!
Hey, guys.
Yeah, hey.
That's such a delay. Jordan's like, right, I should be excited.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us. Do you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, no problem. So, my name's Neysha. I also go by neyshaplays online. I'm a cosplayer. I am an entertainment critic. I am also a podcaster. And I feel like I'm leaving things out, but...
You're the best.
Oh.
You're getting your MBA?
Oh, yeah, I am getting my MBA.
There you go.
What's your MBA going to be in?
Master's of Business Administration with concentration in management.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
You're going to get a job. I have art school degree, so...
I currently have a job, and I'm just like, I want more money.
I'm completely with you.
Oh, look at you making money. Oh, God, you guys and your fucking money and your job.
I know there's a lot of really great MBA programs in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing one there, or are you doing like a remote program?
Yeah, everybody knows, I know personally about, one of the best MBA programs, the Chicago Bulls, led by their leader, Michael Jordan,
One of my favorite jokes about Harry Potter is, I knew Harry Potter was fantasy because it said 1996, but not a single person said, man, the Bulls are having a hell of a run this year. But more seriously, though, so will you be doing a program like Kellogg or something in the area, or if you feel comfortable revealing what college you're attending?
Kellogg, she's not a cereal.
I might identify as a Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Who knows?
Hey.
She legally identifies as a snack.
Yes, I do. I'm actually getting mine at the University of Illinois at Chicago.
Oh, wonderful.
So UIC for sure.
Nice.
I like it a lot.
I think I have a coworker who left last year to go to that program. So maybe if we upload audio, I'll mention her name and you can tell me if you have any classes with her.
That would be a very small... Well, you know what? I wouldn't say that because cohorts are pretty small for grad school. Like when you meet up with people for the first time, it's like, oh, I know you. Or you'd be surprised how many people I've oh, you know so-and-so? Yeah, from this thing. Okay. So I would not be surprised if it's someone I've at least had a class with.
Well, maybe you can find them if you have a super smartphone with Googugu.
Excellent
Ooh,
segue.
yes.
I like that.
Yes, thank you.
Something about this series makes us just have really great segues.
It's very easy.
It is.
So let's take that as a great opportunity to get into about the manga. Damn, that was a segue so powerful it stopped me from telling a story.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
All right, so this series was actually done by a writer and artist combination. The first one was Hiroki Tomisawa, who was the writer, and they also created Senka no Kanajo, which was in 2015 and ran for 5 volumes, 47 chapters, so a little on the long side, but who knows, sure, maybe we'll talk about it someday. It's about a boy who asks a girl out, and the world promptly ends as missiles destroy the city they're in.
Oh, nice.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's typical.
What's the worst that can happen when I ask my crush out?
There you go. That's what it is.
The next one is Who I Am, which I'm shouting because it's all in caps. All caps. And it was 2 volumes, 12 chapters in 2018. And this is a non-fiction work as part of Shueisha's deal with the Paralympics. MaxyBee has a lot more details, in particular what athletes were covered in it, and you can see that on our Patreon. And then the other creator, the artist, was Kentaro Hidano, which created Ziga, which again is all caps. It's not that I'm just really excited to talk about it. That was in 2018, 2 volumes and 14 chapters plus a volume-only epilogue. That was in Weekly Shonen Jump, and it was about kaiju. It is not fully translated. We actually very badly wanted to talk about this with Xander Cannon, who, Neysha, he is a comic book writer who is best known for literally creating a comic about what if there was a kaiju prison.
I want to read that.
That's good. That's actually a good series.
It's really good.
What is it? Kaiju Supermax? Is that what it is?
Kaiju Max.
Kaiju Max. Yes. Okay.
So yes, he created a series Kaiju Max, which was about what if there was a prison for kaiju monsters, and that was a really fun read. Fun fact, he also worked with Alan Moore, so he is comic book royalty by that extension. And this guy also created a bunch of one-shots, blah, blah, blah. Didn't really matter. And he was the assistant for Hiryoso Shibashi, who created Nura, Rise of the Yokai Clan, and Yoi Kamino Let's Loose. And fun fact, he was classmates with Shonen Flop alumni Gen Osuka, who created both Golem Hearts and Duran Duran Run.
Wow.
Are you familiar with either of of those manga?
I've heard of Nura. I mean, actually, no, I've watched Nura. I didn't read it, but I did watch the anime. It was really good. I liked it.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
Actually, the art is not the issue with this manga, so I can't say he didn't learn anything from him.
The art's not the problem. It was definitely like, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to shush.
I love the self-control. It's very easy to start talking about a different section. So I think you have already set the bar very high for guest self-control of respecting the section we're in.
Yeah, I can't even do that.
So the series it replaced was MaxyBee Guesses Ayakashi Triangle, which that got moved because it was too pornographic for Shonen Jump.
Oh.
Well.
I thought it was a joke, and then I read a chapter and it has a joke about a girl masturbating in the shower, and I was like, yeah, this probably isn't appropriate for 13-year-olds.
Nah.
And then it was replaced...
Just like Stone Ocean.
Yes. This was replaced by Ichiose Ke no Tazaki, which is by the creator of Takopi's Original Sin. If you two have read it, that series is excellent. And so, yeah, so it seemed like Shonen Jump is trying to recreate the formula of Chainsaw Man, where they have an offer for a really fucked up series, make something in Shonen Jump, and see if it pays off.
Okay.
Because, Neysha, have you read Fire Punch?
I have not.
So Chainsaw Man was him showing self-control in terms of content.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Chainsaw Man is a toned down manga compared to what he was doing with Fire Punch.
But anyway, this ran from May 9th, 2022 to October 17th, 2022. So very recently canceled, and it was 3 volumes and 23 chapters, plus an epilogue that we're probably never going to talk about because the series fucking sucked. Spoiler alert.
I really don't give a shit about it. Dead serious, I would rather read Build King's epilogue.
But you know what I do want to read, Jordan?
What?
Is your wonderful plot summary. So why don't we move into it?
Oh, why, thank you, David! Q Sagarada, aka Q, as in the English letter Q, is a really smart kid. He's just a slacker, you know? We know this because his childhood not girlfriend Yuika tells him that he's just been wasting that great brain of his since his little brother Shu disappeared 7 years ago after running off to poop. Meanwhile, a little girl went missing, and everyone's talking about it. That night, Q finds a tiny smartphone equipped with a sentient AI and Googugu, which is like super ultra Google, able to find any information created by people. Q uses it to figure out who kidnapped the little girl and calls the cops on the guy. Unfortunately, his super smartphone title drop returns errors whenever he looks for info on Shu's disappearance or info on who made the smartphone. Q names the phone Kimi, which is like apparently Japanese for you, like as in Y-O-U, just to be clear, because people are native letters in this. Q starts solving minor crimes, and every time he does, he gets Googugu points, unlocking new abilities. Meanwhile, a messy goth girl police investigator named Nagi Sayamizu is racking her brain trying to figure out who their new informant is. That night, though, Yuika and her friends are having a sleepover in a high-rise, but some dude sends like a ton of thugs some info on where all the valuables in the building are, getting them to storm the place. Q calls the cop and bikes over, mingling with the thugs and saving Yuika's life by breaking a dude's arms with a baseball bat when he tries to strangle her. The bad guy is then shown to be a rich fuck named Zenichiro Kangan with his own superphone. Zenichiro is the head of Zen Inc., where he's a weird controlling boss who, according to the writer, is just so fucking charismatic and hot. Popcorn David.
You can tell Jordan just had the time of his life, both reading and writing this.
Oh, yeah.
Q hacks into Nagi's email and starts having a conversation with Zenichiro with her own inbox, and Q picks the stupid pseudonym of literally pseudonym.
Literally, yeah.
While Zenny thinks about how he wants to have BDSM dominate his new enemy.
He totally does. He's so fucking horny about it.
Yep.
This is big horny.
Yeah.
There's a police meeting where Nagi says they should do nothing, and finally notices that the conversation is happening in her Gmail. Joining in as Zenny drinks from a big evil wine glass. That was like fucking...
He's fucking Pegasus.
God, that was a huge ass glass for no reason.
He's fucking Pegasus or Dracula.
He is.
There was no proof he wasn't a vampire.
Well, yeah.
Zen tries to hide that he did the high-rise robbery, but Q uses anime detective bullshit to prove that he did it. And both Zen and Nagi are shocked that Q was able to overcome Z's immense charisma. Zen reveals who he is, which doesn't matter. Zen has 2 superphone users working for him, a dumb guy and a smart guy. Q immediately finds the dumb guy and gets him to help by having the police arrest him. He tells him about the superphone, but is poisoned to death by Zen later that night in his prison cell, making Q sad.
Aww.
Because people die when they are killed. world.
Yes, it's true. People forget
Forever.
that a lot. Yeah.
The offer then shows us all the other superphone owners who got the fucking push notification about the dumb guy's death. That's how you knew the series was getting close to ending.
Yeah.
Q is approached by Boken, a scrappy poor guy, and Ray, a great singer who just doesn't know how great she is. Two other owners that found him because he sucks at hiding, and the plot required that they figure out his identity.
Yes.
Boken tells him to figure out his identity in 3 days, so Q tries to rip his ID out of his pocket like an absolute Chad, I have to say.
Honestly, like, one of the best moments in the series.
Right? If he was a good offer, that should have actually worked.
Yeah.
Leading to them getting a karaoke room to hash things out. Q uses logic and reason to deduce their names, and that all three of them had dead family members with connections to the bad guy Zen. Ray doesn't trust him until she hears him sing like shit. She has music telepathy and can tell that he's a good person. Then she sings, and is just the best singer, you guys. Like, damn, what a gorgeous voice. A regular... How do you say that word, Jordan?
Tina? Do you not know what that... Oh my god.
No, I don't. I'm not cultured.
No, it's a joke about Christina Aguilera, and they swap out the Christ in her name with X, and... Okay, you get it. Yeah.
Jordan's taking the Christ out of Christina, I guess.
Damn right.
Ugh, how dare he?
Like a regular Tina.
Yes.
She might not be able to shake it like Britney, but damn.
Oh, I love the sequel XX Tina. Anyway.
Tina X Tina.
Anyway, Neysha, please finish the series summary.
A short guy and a tall woman with huge boobs are standing in the rain because there are the aliens who made the superphones.
I feel like we cannot undersell how gigantic her breasts are.
No, they are comically large, like intentionally comically large.
I need to know what bra size she is, because part of it's like, baby, your back has to be in pain, even if you are an alien.
It's the entire supply of a Victoria's Secret.
It's the whole alphabet.
That's bigger than an F, and you're standing upright, so you're clearly an alien. I knew right off the bat, I'm like, you're not a human.
Yeah.
Even by anime standards.
They're kind of the best character designs in the manga, honestly.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Zen then bullies his smartphone lackey into finding out who Q is, which doesn't seem that hard, but whatever. Zen is just so charismatic and hot. You're probably thinking Zen is unsympathetic, but nuh-uh, he actually has a dead sister and daddy issues. Now, don't you feel like an asshole? The Prime Minister goes on TV and tells everyone in Japan about the super cool alien phone, while the gossip website that Zen owns tells everyone that Q did the high-rise robbery. Remember that? His house gets swamped by an angry mob, but the cops show up. Don't worry, everything's okay. Q meets up with Zen, who reveals that he wants to be Japan's first president.
God damn it, Power is already Japan's first president. Shut up. No, you can't do that. We already had one.
Power supremacy.
Yes.
And the aliens are there for some reason. Q then threatens to expose Zen and dramatically decides to give up his own phone for some reason until someone tells him that his dead brother is the phone.
Whoa.
So he says JK and takes it back. To be continued, you should purchase the final volume of Super Smartphone on sale soon.
I know that it's SALE, but imagine if they wrote on cell and it's SELL.
Wait, you mean CEL?
Yeah, if it was CELL.
I knew where you were going.
What if it's just spelled the way it's normally supposed to be?
You know, they actually did bring up typos for plot relevant in this series.
Yeah.
But I can't spell, so I didn't notice. So, anyway, let's get into the characters. Neysha, would you like to start things off with... I can't take the fact that his name is Q seriously.
QAnon. Yeah, let's start with QAnon.
Oh my god. It was right there.
I'm just gonna get it out of the way now. All right, his name is Q. He digs into ultra secret government secrets, and like he uncovers like these things going on with high society.
And he stops a pedophile as his first act.
Stops a pedophile, finds a missing child, and then releases the info to the public, and like just kind of shows up everybody. You know, it's like what the fuck am I reading? And there's even aliens involved. Like the first thing he does is find confidential info on the fucking government. Like, oh my god.
That's exactly his first thought. He's like, what can I look up? I can look up anything. Give me proof of aliens.
Okay, to be fair, I would do the same thing, but there's just so many coincidences. It's like, did this guy know about QAnon? What the fuck is happening?
If this is in America, I feel after aliens, he definitely would have looked at the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh my god. He is not using this superphone remotely intelligently, but we'll talk about that later.
Anyway, does he have any interesting character traits? Because I don't think he really does.
He's smart and nice.
He's smart and nice and lazy because, depression, I guess.
Well, because his little brother died like 7 years ago.
Which
I mean, hey, that would make me depressed too.
I would be depressed, but it's like, I guess it's one of those things where his not girlfriend, childhood friend is just, oh, you're just so lazy. I'm like, maybe somebody should have gotten this kid some help.
Yeah, maybe he needs fucking therapy. How about that?
It's going to come up later, but there is that humongous moment where they just don't even pretend like this character shouldn't be extremely psychologically damaged.
Right. Oh, he's just lazy. Yeah. Oh, he went through a traumatic thing and he lost his younger brother that he was super close to, but now he's just a lazy slacker.
Yeah, how dare you be sad that your brother got probably kidnapped?
Your 7-year-old brother died. Or you're like younger than that even. Like you're just your little kid brother who's probably like under 5 years old just disappears. Right? Yeah. Why would you still be sad about that? Like, get over it, man. Like that's everybody's response to it. They're just like, hey, Q, get over it.
Yeah. And then speaking of characters that can get over psychological trauma, Jordan, why don't you tell us about his childhood friend?
So this is Yuika Nomaru. She is his childhood friend who definitely is not his girlfriend. Why'd you think that? That's so strange. Why would you ever...
God, why does this trope keep coming up in series?
Well, because that's what I guess every young adult wishes they had in high school. Just this hot girl.
Yeah. But I will say, it was very baller of him to just say, like, do I like her? I mean, she's family, so I could see myself marrying her. I'm like, you know what? I like this kid, at least for this section right here. He didn't waste no time. He knows he could see himself marrying her. Confession over. We don't have to do this shit.
That's fair. I mean, I will say, man, there's a lot of scenes with her where she sure has some pretty big boobs. Like,
oh, those are some bozingas.
To the point where it's like strange. Like she won't for a lot of them. And then like the moment when like the thugs attack her and they grab her, it's like she just gained like 3 cup sizes. It's bizarre.
I feel like the author's kink was showing, or the creator, the team's kink was showing just a little bit there.
Yeah.
Not kink shaming. I'm just saying, like, I love this trend with a lot of different manga creators where it's just like, Horikoshi has a thing for women in turtlenecks, as an example, and thighs.
This reminds me of School Judgment, where the author literally was like, oh, she's 14, but since she's still growing, we're going to have her cup size grow like 2 sizes over like 14 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
David, I think she was 12.
That series legitimately was for pedophiles.
Don't read School Judgment.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, now, to talk about a less disturbing manga, her entire purpose is basically to tell the audience what a good person Q is and how Q's actually really smart.
And the moment I was alluding to is when like she's at a sleepover and their house gets broken into, she got strangled by one of the burglars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then is fine 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
They don't even take her like to the hospital for being strangled.
She should have gone to the hospital.
She finished a sleepover.
Yeah.
Just from like the way she looks and her design, I was halfway expecting her to be the kind of, supporting female character who's also like, maybe she's a judo champion also, because he's super smart and she was the strong one that protected him because his mouth got him in trouble. But I'm like, no, she's not.
Girls can't be strong. What are you talking about?
It's actually funny because we compare this series a lot to Neolation, which is about computer hackers, and that was literally the point of the female character. She like knew like some Brazilian martial art, so she was the one that actually could beat up people.
Capoeira, yeah.
Yeah, she was like a capoeira master.
She ruled.
She was the best character of that series, yeah.
She's barely a character. There's really not much more you can say about Yuika.
Everyone's barely a character, but speaking of, I'll go to Nagi, who she is a police officer, hates effective leads. I was going to say it's Miscellaneous thoughts, but I feel like she is like a Danganronpa character that was stolen, like a character design.
I can see that, yeah. She is a complete mess. Just a total mess, total goblin mode, just like fucking, I don't know if she showers, honestly.
No, she definitely doesn't.
She doesn't.
She gives Power a run for her money. That's what she does.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do think that she's kind of the best character.
She's the only character that the series actually cares about.
She's the only character with, like, traits that aren't just like, oh, and a great person. Oh, really smart, yeah.
She should have been a main character, is what I'm hearing.
Obviously supposed to be L. Like,
yeah.
It is so blatant that she's supposed to be L.
Yeah.
Oh, spoiler alert, listener. If you couldn't tell, this series really wants to be Death Note, like, real bad.
So badly.
And Neysha, will you tell us about the bad guy?
Yes, the super hot and charismatic Zenjiro Kangan. Yeah, so he's a bad guy. Basically anime Elon Musk, which I feel like is the best description because how everybody is just like like fawning over this man. I was just like, why?
Like, Tesla is kind of like a cult.
Yes.
I mean, he's going to destroy Twitter pretty soon. He's basically doing it right now.
He already has.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's falling apart in real time.
Crumbling. But yeah, it's just like everybody who meets him, they're just enamored with him. Men, women, doesn't matter your orientation. They're just like, I will die for you.
If you're a man, he will make you bisexual.
Probably.
That's his superpower. If you're a straight man, at least, he will turn you bi. The other thing about him is that he is basically, like, the author was too much of a wimp to make the main character Light Yagami, so Zenichiro's literally Light Yagami.
That's very accurate, I would say. Because he's just like, he has a mission or a purpose, and like, it's with good intention, but he's going about it terribly.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll talk about it more and what it did wrong, but the other thing is you gotta know, he's got daddy issues.
And he's a siscon.
He's a siscon, yeah.
I could have done without the siscon.
The siscon has never been a good character element in any series ever.
Never.
I cannot think of a single time where I've been like, oh, cool, siscon, I'm happy about that.
I just feel like, why? Like, even in shows like Spy X Family, like, at least, like, they blatantly make fun of it.
Yeah, like, in Mission Family, I was like, this is not bad, but the siscon is such a stupid part where, like, the dude legitimately, like, physically in love with his sister, and it's very creepy.
Yeah.
You know how we were talking about the author giving away their fetish?
Yeah, that's definitely one of them.
Oh,
God. Okay, so let's get into the last character. How about that? So we can start trashing this series properly. So, Jordan, why don't you tell us about how I felt emotionally while reading this series?
Oh, yes. Well, David wrote his name as Broken, but his name is Boken.
That was actually a typo. I do feel broken after reading this.
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing about Boken is the author realized, shit, I have to introduce more allies. Hey, you know, what if this, like, scrappy kid who's like this street rat poor kid, oh, he just figures out how Q is, like, super easy. So he must be, like, super fucking smart because Zenichiro cannot do it. And, like, Zenichiro's own super smart lackey cannot do it either. But this motherfucker,
Right.
just, like, in a day, fucking knows exactly who it is. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, the system, the way that the super smartphone hides information makes it insanely easy to find any super smartphone user. But yeah, he's like, he's trying to be like the Sasuke or whatever. It's really stupid. They had some weird card thing where they had to figure out his identity.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? Yeah.
To be honest, I just stopped caring. After like chapter 3,
No.
we'll get into it, but does anyone have anything else, or can we start trashing this series, please?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So Neysha, as our humble guest, please bestow upon us what were the things you thought were not good about this series?
Oh, where to start? I just feel like the convoluted plot with the phones, like,
Right?
the rules with the phones were just very confusing in some parts.
It was so hard to figure out. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And then it's like, from there, it was also how things got more convoluted, because I'm like, oh, you know, this is giving Future Diary vibes a little bit.
That's what I thought too.
Right?
I find this is more Future Diary than Death Note, to be honest.
Well, I'll save my 6-word description.
Oh. So here's the thing. The way that I read this, because I'm not familiar with Future Diary, I read this as if, oh man, it's Death Note, but Light is the bad guy, and that defeats everything interesting about Death Note. Because the whole thing is, man, Light's a weird fucking creep.
Yeah.
Like, he might have, like, some interesting motivations, but, like, at his core, he is a fucking creep, evil motherfucker.
Yeah.
And that's what's interesting. So you just make him the bad guy, it's like, oh, whatever. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Light is literally the bad guy in every... If he wasn't the protagonist, he'd be the villain of Death Note.
Yeah.
I mean, he becomes the villain ultimately. It's just like, oh, what if Light was the villain from the very beginning?
Yeah.
God, that shows the level of intelligence that someone's like, what if Light was the bad guy? Was their pitch.
The issue is that the author had was like, man, I like Death Note, but like Light is too much of an asshole. What if he was like a really nice guy, actually? Like,
yeah, I also have to say, the series has so much, speaking of Death Note, the series has so much fucking text.
so much.
So much. And I was so, oh God. I got to the point where some of the panels, I'm like, there is such a thing as balance. And again, I am not a mangaka, but like as a writer, this is just a lot to take in. And I understand like maybe panel restrictions and stuff, but I'm like, working in marketing, there's like an exercise where it's like, okay, write it out. Now say it less. And then you do it again. Now say it less. I just feel like some of the plot, like with the writing, like writing out the dialogue, they could have used just having someone like, can you say this in 20 words or less in this one bubble? Okay, great, please do. Because I'm like, oh my God, half the panel is just words.
Oh, it's terrible. And how about the fucking graphs and the infographics and the fucking... So what happens is the author every now and then just puts out these huge charts that explains like, all right, so he's feeling this way. If he tries to do this and he can't do that, if he does this, then that doesn't work. But if he does this, he wins. And I'm just like, this is...
It's like a flow chart for strategy, basically.
Like a fucking flow chart. Like, what is this? And the rules aren't even consistent. Like,
and they also have disqualifying rules that they don't tell you. So you literally could have just lost your phone for something you didn't even know was against the rules.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. There's a moment where one of the whole things is that, like, oh, you can't tell anybody that you're, like, a super smartphone user or you'll lose it. But, like, there's a point where everybody knows that Q is a super smartphone user. They all know that Zenichiro is a super smartphone user. But Q is standing there in front of Zenichiro and, like, a ton of cops and the aliens who do know, and he's just like, hey, man, I'm gonna tell everybody that I'm a super smartphone user. Who are you telling?
With that part, I was just like, but what does that do? I was not understanding how does this make checkmate for Zenichiro. I didn't quite understand the logic for Q. I'm like, what does it do for you to give yourself up? Because you'll die or you'll get your phone taken away and he'll still have his phone.
Yeah.
He still has to confess. What?
What was the competition, though? Everything is, like, indirectly decided where he's, like, he just picks himself that if one person hits the maximum points, everyone else loses their phone. No one actually says that is the case.
You're all doing this shit and killing people off on an assumption?
It was like shitty Highlander.
It was.
David, have you ever seen Highlander?
Yes, I have.
Cool.
There is shitty Highlander too.
Well, that's true. This is like shitty anime Highlander. Wait, there might actually already be a shitty anime Highlander. I don't know.
There's a few anime Highlanders, I think.
Yeah.
Fucking Highlander.
The Fate Stay Night series, kind of.
Oh.
Not the whole episode. Well, kind of.
There should have only been one. The author also takes every opportunity to de-escalate, like, everything going on using the cops, which is very ironic.
Yep.
Like, it really is just like, oh man, his house is attacked by a lynch mob. Don't worry about it. We called the cops. Don't worry about it, Q. It's all over. Yeah. Don't worry, reader. Don't worry about this at all.
It's all good. Cops in Japan are different than in America. Sorry.
Yeah.
They're great, actually, and wonderful.
They are.
This is propaganda.
It literally is. This also, the issue with the text, we've kind of mentioned it before, but like all he does is tell and not show with the text. I brought up in the plot summary how like the author is constantly having people say, oh man, Zenichiro, he is just so hot and so smooth talking and just so charismatic. And it's like, well, I'm glad you told me that because I didn't get that from the writing.
I don't understand it because just because everyone around and in the dialogue is saying it, I'm like, where's this charisma? Is it because he has money?
Apparently he's also very physically strong because he just fight. Like, why were there action scenes? Why was he physically fighting people?
Yeah.
Why was Q strong enough to break a man's arms with a bat? How?
You're not supposed to have physical confrontation with the main character in this kind of series.
There's a moment when he's with like the dumb strong guy, which was, by the way, a waste of like 3 chapters.
Yep.
Where it's just like, oh man, I've never been in a physical confrontation. I just saw you break a dude's arm with a baseball bat, man.
Yeah, like what do you mean?
It's so dumb. And it really is just so stupid that his solution to every problem is to just call the fucking cops. Like every time, that's his only move.
Or show up, realize, hey, this was a really bad idea, and then have to figure out some hacky bullshit logic for how not to be killed in a thing that he set up himself.
Right.
He was such an idiot. Like, he did dumb shit. He is not smart enough to be the main character of this manga.
He's not.
Yeah.
Going back to like the high-rise robbery, he's just lucky. He's just lucky.
He is. He's just lucky.
And he says that. He's like, I'm really glad they had a boss I could bluff about. Like, why would you think a bunch of rioters who came from an anonymous internet message would have some sort of hierarchy system?
Right.
Seriously, like this happens all the time where it's like in a manga where the whole premise is that you can look up anything, you should not have the main character be like, phew, good thing I guessed correctly on that. That defeats the whole point. You know, like he's supposed to be able to be prepared, and he's supposed to be smart enough where he can like triangulate all this information, but he doesn't. He just guesses, and there's so many times like shit. He just wakes up in the middle of the night like shit, I forgot something. Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Also, told MaxyBee this, I think chapter 3 of this manga is perhaps one of the worst chapters I've ever read in my entire life, and that's the riot chapter. I just love how he's like, whoa, this is like 10 minutes walk away from where my brother got kidnapped. That can't be a coincidence. Like, yes, it absolutely can be.
You mean a kid who went missing 7 years ago?
And something happened nearby?
Yeah.
It would have been better if, like, maybe Q's personality was that he has been trying to solve his brother's case the entire time in the last 7 years versus him just being lazy. I mean, be lazy in school, but show that you're actually this genius detective behind the scene all along. I think that would have been better. Like, some of his things would have made more sense because I'm like, anyone with logic and sense would be like, no, this is actually just a coincidence.
Right? Oh my God. I feel like we're just going to shit on this forever. Does anyone have anything they really want to get, or should we start actually talking about the positives?
I just want to say one last thing because I thought it was really funny. So their whole thing is like, oh, you can find any information created by people, which winds up being so complicated. There's a moment where it's like, aha, I have defeated Q because I took all the tags off of the clothes that I got these guys. Like, what? That wasn't a thing before. He literally took a photo of this little girl, and then based on the clothes she was wearing, like, he was able to, like, determine where the clothes were gotten from, like, what the make was and stuff. But, he just could have taken the tags off. Apparently, all the smartphone was doing was reading the tags? What the fuck are you talking about?
Which, I'm like, does removing the tag really, like, stop? I mean, see, now I'm thinking, I'm like, but it was originally created by it, wasn't it? So even if I ripped off the Nike tag on my sweatshirt, that doesn't change it from being a Nike sweatshirt.
You can tell by the combination ratios of the materials.
Right.
Probably gives you a pretty solid estimate of where this was originated from.
Right. Or just as simple as him saying something like, oh, look for this fabric blend in this radius.
Yeah.
One last thing, and then we'll definitely dive in. Also, it doesn't change the information. It redacts it, makes it so insanely easy to figure out someone is. Because literally, we have student IDs 1 through 18. 16 is missing. You could physically break into their office and see who has student ID 16 then and know who the super smartphone user is.
They do that all the time!
It was the dumbest fucking thing I'd ever seen. But anyway, we gotta go to positives.
Yeah.
This will take like 5 minutes, so see y'all ready?
Or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, kick it off.
Yeah, so I did like the art.
The art is fine, yeah.
No real notes about the art quality.
Yeah, it was good. It was decent. It wasn't terrible.
Look, if the manga was better written, the artist could have been the same.
Mm-hmm.
The issue was 100% with the writing here. God.
Yeah. I also think the idea isn't the worst idea. I think, like we talked about in the war, this author had a lot of good ideas and then he fucked up implementing them, but he still had some interesting ideas. I like the series where you have infinite information, and so it takes the kind of identification out, and it's all into deductive reasoning, like turning everything into a logic puzzle instead of an information puzzle or gathering information.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that's a really cool idea. Like, that's the whole point of how machine learning works, and it's a very fascinating topic.
Yeah. The premise had great opportunity. I think it had a lot of opportunity, but the execution on some of the stuff, like with the characters or the character personalities, it just didn't hit. Like, that's where the fault was. Sorry, not going back to like what it did badly.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, it is. Because it's like, oh, you know what? Q could have been a really interesting and intriguing character. Like I said before, like
he wasn't, but he could have been. Yeah,
he could have been. And it would, for me, it would have been like better if like we see him be a hero. He has the traits of being a hero. And I think at his core, it comes out that like, oh, he wants to keep his family safe and family matters to him. But it's just like, yeah, but this whole him being a slacker and then you trying to make him suddenly become heroic, it doesn't pan out well because it feels weird that he's a man of action now. But it's like, oh, but he is a man of action because he will jump to go save his friends or the girl that he kind of sort of maybe loves. And he's not a complete slacker. So it's just like, I don't like when there's like a huge personality shift in a character like that.
Yeah. Oh, this is the what it did well section. Shit.
Yes, that's true. But I want to,
it's tough.
We did promise this session would be 5 minutes long.
I meant all that, like, I did mean all that positively. Like, Q has these great main character traits in him, but the execution on how they were brought about felt forced instead of feeling more natural. But they are there, and those are good quality traits for a main character.
I completely agree.
I liked the aliens. I thought that it was an interesting design because they look weird. Like, there's two of them. There's like an alien
old
and
guy
a
holding a baguette.
Yes.
A short, fat old dude wearing a baguette, and like a tall, busty woman who's just kind of standing there with, as we've mentioned, unbelievably huge breasts.
I was trying to think like what fruit you would say she's smuggling, but it's like, I guess a fully grown watermelon.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But like they both look so weird and out of place, and they're just standing there, always in profile, talking to each other, that it really did give give the impression, oh, they're not human. They are like wearing fake disguises that they don't understand at all.
It actually feels like something out of Men in Black.
Yeah, it does. Like for that bit, I mean, they're completely out of place in the manga.
Are you angels or are you aliens? That's where I was like, you're angels or aliens. It's one of the two.
I have a lot riding on them being aliens, so I'm going to assume they're aliens.
Oh yeah, aliens seemed more likable. It was just like the whole, oh, we've been watching over this planet for eons bit that I was like, angels? Because I'm like, why would aliens care this much?
We're the only species to have created terrible manga.
Exactly. Dinosaurs didn't have smartphones.
Or did they?
Or maybe they did. Maybe they did.
Oh, God. And then I do want to say, I actually thought chapter 2 was good. I think it wasn't placed well. I did like the fact that he is a little socially awkward and he realized it wasn't so much a mystery. It was more social nuance he didn't understand. And when he was like, what I should do is nothing, I actually was like, you know what? I'm going to give it to him. I think that was actually pretty well executed for what like the point of this series should have been, you know?
I can see that. I agree.
I feel like it was, again, the author pulling his punches.
Context for listeners. So what happens is a girl's phone is missing and it finds out that these two girls stole her phone and put it in someone's locker. And he thinks like, oh, they're bullies. But no, it was so that he would have an excuse to talk to her because she had a crush on him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's great, but I think it's probably the strongest execution of the author executing on one of his ideas that we saw in this entire series.
Yeah. Also, I do like how a through line to this seems to be people being like, man, we should do nothing.
Yeah. Just call the cops every fucking time.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just like, nothing I can do. Even the cop says it later where they're just like,
yes,
we can't do anything. We're screwed.
Yeah. Do nothing, roll over and die.
But there is some things we could do about ways we could fix this series. So shall we move on to where it could have gone?
Yeah.
So Jordan, though, as the man of action of this podcast, what is something you would have revised about this series? And spoiler, I read your notes and I actually really like your ideas.
So I have two. First of all, 100% immediately improve the manga. What if Q couldn't call the fucking cops? What if, like, I don't know, maybe they didn't believe him. Maybe they're useless. Maybe they're corrupt. You could have a billion different reasons why Q just didn't call the police and had to figure out what he was supposed to do to take care of the situation. And it would probably be extra legal. You know, it wouldn't be the best, but that would actually be kind of interesting because, oh my God, calling the cops just the lamest, most boring thing. Like, oh God. But the other one is I think that Bulkin should have been the main character instead of Q because he's like this poor dude. He's lived a rough life. Maybe he has reason to distrust the cops for one thing.
There was a car crash that killed his parents. Maybe they just like, it was some like politician's son and they just brushed it under.
Yeah, maybe something like that. There's a billion things that could have happened. But the whole thing is he does much more interesting, like deductive reasoning. He has like a more interesting backstory. I mean, comparatively.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
He could have been said in New York and his name is B. All right, B. Neysha, what about you?
I think a great way to make it better with Q specifically as a main character. I wish he was like a detective the entire time. Like maybe he was a kid detective who was always informing them occasionally. Because I'm like, if you're gonna lean into Death Note, let's go full lean and just yes, he's a genius kid detective. Like he's occasionally been helping out here and there and giving tips. And that, but the whole thing is like he's trying to solve his own brother's disappearance or murder. You know, just because then it would also like we're just supposed to accept that him being a genius makes him a genius at deducing problems and solving mysteries.
Well, if you're a genius at one thing, you're a genius at everything, as we all know.
Exactly.
As we've seen with Elon Musk, because he's a genius at nothing.
At nothing. But yeah, I feel like that would have been really good and just given him, like, we could have solidified Q's strengths because when we're introduced to him, we're just supposed to assume he's a slacker and he doesn't do anything. But then it's like, oh no, he's a genius slacker who has many talents.
Yeah.
So I think that would have been good. And like really just solidified him as like, oh, this is our hero.
Slacker man.
Yes.
Slacker man.
I think that's a great thought. Like, I think the first chapter literally should have been him solving a case entirely by himself. And then like the last page is like he gets the smartphone and that's how it starts. So it proves he can do it on his end.
Yep.
So I think that's a really great way to approach it. I think though, in my thought, as I talked about, machine learning is honestly something that I think is really important to how the world works and people don't understand it. And this series literally could have been, how do you explain to the masses how machine learning really works by the way that he can distill information? Like this could have have genuinely been like Dr. Stone for like mathematics.
Yeah, and then he uses it to like rip off a bunch of artists and sell their work.
Fuck
and
off,
like
It's also the series needed some sort of scaffolding for its concept because again, we don't know what the competition was. Why did he need to really have allies? Like having multiple smartphones doesn't really help because it's such a powerful device.
I mean, we saw that Zen having 2 smartphone holders didn't necessarily make him better off because he didn't find who Q was any faster than the poor guy. Broken.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, he's supposed to be super, like intelligent and terrifying, but this fucking kid on the street, who the manga basically implies is actually not that smart, just figures out immediately who Q is.
Yeah.
Just like super fast.
And it's the thing that Q literally says like, oh, but my number's gone. That could be a problem. You think?
Yeah. It just seems like the fucking security system
Yeah.
hurts you. Like it is the opposite.
I cannot possibly imagine how it doesn't make it insanely easy to figure out who the smartphone user is.
Yeah, it's like in a TV show or like an anime where it's like, oh, this character has cloaking technology. And what that means is that there's just like this weird shimmering section of the screen, which to the viewer, it's like, oh, that's where they are. It's so obvious. They're right there.
Yeah.
Why aren't you noticing that?
I mean, I'll be fair with that one. I've played video games where that's the cloaking and it is still very hard to notice.
Yeah.
I would have really liked the series actually point out that way that they hide information makes it easier to identify, like that was on purpose, but it never does.
No.
That
was mainly for the plot.
There are moments where Q literally recognizes, this isn't great. Like he recognizes it multiple times. It never occurs to him, I'm going to turn this off. That might have been a ballsy move.
I thought he was going to do that.
Yeah, I really did too.
And then, Neysha, how about you? Any last little things that you think you would have redone about the series?
I would have given the female characters a little bit more purpose.
Oh, for sure.
And it's really not the whole like, oh, she needs to be as like strong or capable. It was just like, I really feel like there was an opportunity to have his childhood friend maybe more involved. She was like, you don't have to tell me anything, but I'll be here to help you. But you can't help shit, or we haven't seen you help or do anything. Like, I mean,
she was too busy bra shopping because her breast size kept changing.
Right.
Yeah.
There's that. And then the girl who has the musical telepathy or whatever, I'm like, she ends up being very important and helpful at the very last chapter. But it's just like, okay, so like, I feel like she probably could have been more useful.
I rolled my fucking eyes so hard when they were in the karaoke area and Bakken was like, oh man, she's like, she could tell immediately if you're a good person based on like your singing voice. And it's like, oh, well, you know, she's a great singer, but like, dude, she just doesn't know how wonderful she is. You know, she doesn't know. She doesn't know Oh God.
Oh, the mention of power just makes me want to think of Chainsaw Man, which makes me feel like we should talk about some miscellaneous thoughts.
Yeah.
So Jordan, though, what was kind of a stray thought you had that you really just didn't have a chance to mention before?
Well, you know, Googugu, gaga, Googugu. No, I love how Zenichiro's trying to get like a pharmaceutical thing from his dad for some reason, and his dad is just like a boomer, also obsessed with his phone and doesn't really talk to him and shit. And then he's just like, Dad, I will find the secret to immortality in 10 years. And his dad's just like, all right, but only if you also do anti-aging, because I want to be young forever. And then his assistant's like, oh, what? You can't do immortality in 10 years? That's supposed to take place in 50 years. It's like, it's just ridiculous. Just completely ridiculous.
And it's also he can bring his sister back to life, because you're 10 years away from that technology.
Which I'm just like, how? What? This random C plot.
Very pointless.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not his fault. It's the fact that his daddy doesn't love him is why he's such an evil person.
Don't you feel bad?
No, I don't.
I feel like Zen's character would have been better off if it's like, this man didn't care about my sister dying and said he could replace her. That would have been more important than like, you won't look at me. You won't acknowledge me. I'm like, but you have all the makings to actually be like, I don't know, Seto Kaiba here.
Mokuba.
Right?
I mean, his sister is clearly in his phone.
Yeah.
You know what? He wasn't obsessed enough with his sister is the problem.
We needed less.
He just smelled her hair a little bit.
He wasn't broken up enough. Like, he was more obsessed with, like, people not respecting him as, like, a god among men. And so when that came up, it just felt very out of character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why does this guy give a shit about his sister? That doesn't make any sense based on the type of person we've seen.
Right. And we don't even get a flashback of him with his sister where I'm just like, I feel like maybe they saw each other as equals. Maybe that's why he doesn't view anyone on the same level as him. So, like, is that it? I don't know.
Also, like, having a dead family member is not a rare thing.
Yeah. At all.
Like, do you have any idea how many other people lost siblings within the past 7 years and parents? And, like, I wanted one person to just be like, yeah, I lost my great-grandma about 5 years ago. That motherfucker Zenichiro must have killed her. Also, the dumb guy, I don't think he even lost a family member.
Well, no, he lost his sister to a drowning accident.
Oh, you're right. Ah,
Yeah.
yes, I completely fucking forgot about that. Almost like it didn't matter at all or something. Thank God she died, otherwise he wouldn't have this power.
Yeah, only 10 people in Japan have ever had a family member die in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, one last thing I want to say before I read some thoughts from MaxyBee and Tucker. I love how Elon Musk, because I don't care about what his actual name is, when he talks about how there's 3 types of people, he says 80% of people are like cowards, 10% are idiots, but there's the rare 10% that are geniuses. And I'm like, brother, that's the same size as one of the other groups you mentioned.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you still have the same, like there's 20% left, so I guess you could split it up.
I don't know.
I mean,
there's 10% of my care left of this series.
Too many numbers.
It would have been more dramatic if he didn't do that, but whatever.
Yeah, why didn't he just group it in 98% and 10%?
Just change one of the 10s to 15, the other one to 5. You're good.
Yeah, fucking whatever. And then, though, speaking of geniuses, MaxyBee's thoughts are nothing, as they thought it was so bad they refused to read it. I bullied MaxyBee, into reading the 3rd chapter because of how bad it was. They agreed, and they said it was quite terrible, and I assume they drank tea angrily or something because they're British.
Yeah.
And then from Tucker, they wanted to say, by the way, that Googugu thing is definitely a play on the Japanese pronunciation of Google. It just changed the last syllable, ru, to another short goo. So, I mean, it wasn't subtle, but curious why they named it that. It was like a very explicit Japanese pun for the exact change they made.
I mean, literally at the front part, they said Google. So I'm like,
yeah.
They couldn't say YouTube. They had to change that spelling. They couldn't say line. They had to change that spelling.
Right.
But they could say Google?
Yeah, Shonen Jump manga has literally said YouTube before. Like in Witch Watch, they explicitly said we want to be YouTubers.
Right. I was so confused by that. I'm like,
oh, you read Witch Watch?
Oh, yeah, I have.
Oh, isn't that series so good?
It's so cute. I love it. It's a wholesome read for me.
Right?
Yes.
That was my recommendation actually last week.
I'm taking my time with it because I'm like, I don't want to binge read this. And like, I just want to take my time.
I love how when people are like, did you get to that chapter for Witch Watch? There's like 5 different chapters you can think of as being like that chapter. So actually, okay, wait, let's get into final verdict. Or actually, fuck it, why not? So when I say that though, just curious, which chapter do you think I'm talking about when I say, did you get to that chapter?
Like when I tell you, I've only read the 10 chapters. That's how slow I'm going at this.
Oh, so you haven't got, okay.
You haven't gotten to any of those chapters.
Jordan knows which chapter I'm talking about though.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm like, I know stuff has happened in this 10 that I've read, but I'm just like, you know what? I'm probably going to think of something too early on.
Message me when you think you've got into it, and I'll tell you if it's that chapter or not.
My friend who told me about it, she's just like, you have to tell me when you get to this part. I'm like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of these parts, but all right.
There are.
Witch Watch honestly has at least, 5 chapters where you think, oh, that's the weird gimmick chapter, and then you keep going and you run into another one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's just a great series. Anyway, speaking though of really things that are great, why don't we get into our final verdict and hear some 6-word summaries from the community? Starting things off with 6-word summaries from the community, we have from Tucker, Death Note, reverberating fart sound effect, which is 4 words. So I guess Dylan, do with that as you wish. ZC Digital, here's how Q can still win. That's really good. Dude Rocks, the Earth Child, Stan, my little sister can't have 5G.
That's also really good.
Loser, unfortunately Q is no longer a non. Fuck, this is a really great week for 6-word summaries.
Yeah.
Andy's Islands, it's a super phoned in ending.
Mm-hmm.
The Laughing Fool, Siri, what is a plot contrivance? Shut up, Siri. Big, modern Death Note, L, get iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
That is not 6 words, so I'm sorry you're disqualified. You'll be banned from future 6-word summary. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, it is.
What?
That's 6 words. Big is the name. So.
Oh fuck! God damn, I'm an idiot. I saw the two colons screwed me up. You're right. Sorry. Daniel, have you heard about fucking Google? Riley of Pi offers you Googugu writing an ending. Xylon, hey Google, write an unsatisfying ending. Kitty06, and then Google made a podcast. Jemmy Chen's makes me miss Oba's terrible opinions. Lenny, it was just not super enough.
No, it wasn't.
Blah moo moo. Many Qs will never be A'd. And then King Q, I'm the real Q here, phony. And then we had one more. What? People keep fucking submitting while we're recording. Hold on. All right. From Dude Rocks also wrote, this is why you need NordVPN. Oh, Dude Rocks said, this is why you need NordVPN. Insert generic YouTube sponsor line. You can use the code TerribleManga15 for 15% off.
I would suggest that you actually get NordVPN.
Oh, man. From Kirbymon, not super smart, phoning it in. Emerald Mudkip, murderer to control world, childhood trauma. From Loser, hey Google, what was the point? And from T Wolfwood, been told this sucks, so skip.
Man, that's a lot.
Yeah, my devices were really going off a lot. Every time I won in Super Smash Bros. On playing a Sora, I would tell Alexa to play simple and clean. And I was telling my friend that story on the phone, and Alexa started doing that. Which is why I worded that very carefully so it didn't trigger it again.
Yeah. So I think that at this point we have set off everybody's.
Yes, everyone's devices have gone off.
Everybody's devices, yes.
Oh, God. Then Jordan, what was your 6-word summary?
I have 2.
Okay.
Goo, ga, ga, ga. And then my next one is, my Death Note calls the cops.
I love it. How about yours, Neysha?
So the one I'm most proud of is when Death Note meets Future Diary.
I love it.
Thank you.
So I had 2, or I had 3, I dropped 1. So my first one, though, I thought, based on the first chapter, was who would have thought SS would be bad? And then my next one is, I'll tell you this one just because it's pretty similar to yours, Neysha. Mine was Future Diary of a Wimpy Manga.
I like that one.
And then Jordan, I thought of this like 5 minutes before recording. Then who was Super Smartphone?
Nice.
I was very proud of that one.
That's a good one.
Neysha, have you heard of that story?
No, I have not.
There's a really shitty.
It's a really old meme.
Fuck it, I'll just read it right now.
Oh my God. That's right, listener. All your base belong to us. We're going old school retro meme.
The Know Your Meme page for this meme is 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is from 2008. So you're with your honey and you're making out. When the phone rings, spelled RGNS, you answer it, and the voice is, what are you doing with my daughter? You tell your girl, and she say, my dad is dead. Then who was phone?
That is not the first, possibly not even the second time that I have heard David say that story, by the way.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh gosh, I have to go find it now.
I feel like Dylan would do a great rendition of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dylan, if you would like to, because Dylan has I don't want to say Dylan has a sexy voice, but I don't know how else to say it, and he's also editing, so I guess he's going to...
Dylan has a sexy voice.
Dylan, you have a sexy voice, so if you want to read out then who was phone, copy pasta for the audience, I definitely would appreciate you doing that, because I think it'd become great. So, okay, that was a lot of fun with our 6-word summaries.
The thing about this series is that it is just so easy to make fun of.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so easy. It gives you so much material. It's basically a parody of manga.
Yeah.
Feels like it. I'm like, you know what? Let's just lean in completely. You love Death Note, and you also liked what they did with Future Diary. Let's lean into that. It has everything from both of those series. Supernatural beings pulling the strings and planting a supernatural device in the hands of humans. People with their own sense of morality and moral compasses that they may do bad things in order for a good reason by their standards. A semi-likable main character that there's more to him, but he's also a slacker, but he's a genuinely a good person with a good heart. And yeah, hot detective goth cop lady who's his ally.
Just like NCIS.
Yes.
Just like NCIS.
Literally NCIS.
She left the show, by the way.
No.
Yeah, she did.
I have not seen that show in forever, but dang.
I used to watch it.
Oh yeah, my mom used to watch it all the time, so I would just like get roped into it.
I was more of a CSI Miami kind of guy.
Yeah! When she would watch it, I'm like, is this a show about Navy cops? What is this? I don't understand, but sure.
They actually used to advertise it as Navy NCIS because they thought people wouldn't understand it, despite the N in NCIS standing for Navy.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I had no idea.
Oh my God. Anyway, so I think, would we all call this a certified flop?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Jordan, so how does this rank amongst the certified flops?
I mean, it's not the worst. Like, it got so bad it's good. Like, it's not... Like, Build King was just a fuck fucking mess. Like, just miserable to read. This was not quite as miserable to read as stuff like that.
Yeah. Neysha, please don't read Build King. It's very bad.
I won't.
Good. And so I think, unfortunately, we won't be able to compare this for Chainsaw Man, which breaks my heart because you are a guest I know for a fact has read Chainsaw Man.
Have, and I love it, and I'm current, and I'm just like, whenever y'all want to talk about it with me, please have me back on.
Oh, man.
I love Chainsaw Man so I'm working on doing another, like, my third Chainsaw Man cosplay as we speak.
Whoa.
Who are you doing?
I mean, it's not a secret. I'm gonna go ahead and try and do Aki.
Ooh.
I've done Power and Makima. I would do Denji, but my whole thing is like, that's an expensive cost. It's simple to put together if I just want to do Denji, like in the suit and tie. I mean, in the shirt and tie, which I might just do that, a casual Denji. But it's like, I don't know. I would like to actually get the whole get up, but that's such an expensive cosplay.
Yeah.
I would want to resell the shit if I got it.
That makes sense.
Aki is definitely a good medium there because you do have some accessories and some more identifiable traits to like his appearance, I think.
Yeah.
Gotta love Dennis.
Yeah, I do love Dennis though.
Yeah, so if you weren't aware that the Chainsaw Man Circle Jerk sub calls him Dennis.
I was not aware of that. But Dennis is the perfect equivalent to Denji.
That's the 4Kids translation. Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually have a side podcast where we just talk about Chainsaw Man called the Chainsaw Minute. We currently just do not have the time to have guests on, but definitely I will reach out if we ever, because it's like a side thing, but absolutely I will let you know when we can start having guests on that.
I would love that. That would be so fun. Because I mean, like, I have gotten 3 friends to start reading Chainsaw Man now, and they are just like, I really like Makima. I'm like, just keep reading.
Yeah, sure.
Do you not pick up on like the manipulation like aspect and like
woof?
It's immediate and it's so blatant, and I think a lot of people just assume until like maybe chapter 50 or so. No spoilers, obviously, for people who haven't read.
No, fucking, it's their fault.
True, it is their fault. It's been out for a year, but like around chapter 50, it's when things like become very blatant that like, oh, all is not well. Even before then, maybe like chapter 40, when like after the whole building devil crap that went down.
Oh, the Infinity Devil.
The Infinity Devil, like I call him the building devil.
Yeah. So I just like rewatched the first 4 episodes of the anime with somebody last night, and in like episode 2, Denji's like, "Hey, is Makima a bad person?" After she talked about how he's a dog and I'm gonna put you down if you fuck up. Like,
right?
This is not a spoiler to say that Makima is like kind of fucked up. I don't get it.
But I do have to say we are over time as much as I would love to keep talking about Chainsaw Man.
Yes!
I love it.
So let's get to the shout outs as we are already shouting out to some awesome stuff. I want to start off by saying, Neysha, thank you absolutely so much for being on the show. It was a total blast. Where can everyone find the amazing things that you're doing?
Well, first off, thank you for having me on and thank you for the compliment. But yeah, you guys can find me mainly on TikTok and Instagram, and I'm also still on Twitter until Elon Musk burns it all down at neyshaplays. That's NEYSHAPLAYS, and on all 3 platforms. A lot of my manga and anime reviews and film reviews are on butwhythough.net, and it's also like full title of the website is But Why Though, a Geek Community. So you guys can check out a lot of the stuff I've been reading, watching. Currently, I'm reviewing Urusei Yatsura weekly. I just reviewed One Piece Film Red.
Nice.
Oh, how was that?
Oh, I loved it. And here's the thing, as I like, now that I can say stuff now that it's out of embargo, it is a masterpiece musical for One Piece.
Whoa.
Because it feels like you're in a concert when you're watching the movie. It feels like you're at an actual concert almost, with like just how they handled like the animations, the choreography, the singing, and everything. Now, I will say the plot is a bit mid. And I mean, if y'all ever want to do a review or something about One Piece stuff, I'm your girl also. But like,
hey.
I would say like if y'all plan to go see One Piece, it's definitely worth going to see. And like, I think it's it has the potential to be a great introductory piece to a lot of people if they want to like, if they're curious about it. But the plot, I have like problems with the plot. I'm probably going to do a video about it and talk about it sometime this week.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm trying to do that more on my TikTok now, like put reviews and stuff out like that, because writing can hurt my brain some days. Yeah, y'all can follow me there. And any other things, just go ahead and follow my link tree on my accounts, and you guys can see some stuff. Like I recently wrote an episode for PBS's digital series Subcultured. They did one about, yeah, I've done 2. Last year was about anime and the anime subculture and like what is an otaku. And then a few weeks back, I just haven't had the chance to announce things because I'm bad about bragging on myself. I wrote a script about fantasy costuming. So not cosplay because it's slightly different, but yeah, so that one's out too. So I'll probably make a post on Twitter because my friends tell me I'm bad about sharing news.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
By the way, an otaku is a miserable pile of ecchi.
Shut up, Jordan.
You just have to watch it because I will say one of the best things about getting to the opportunity to write that script, it's interesting how the word has been reclaimed by a lot of people, but then there's still a lot of the negative connotations. So us as anime and manga fans, people are like, oh, so you're an otaku. I'm like, I am, but not the way you think I am.
That is awesome. I also want to give a shout out to the Strictly series. As we talked about warm-up audio, how you are also Chicago-based. They are a great duo of people. You can find them at Strictly Series.
So
I also want to give a shout out to the Sci-Fi Remnant, a cool sci-fi podcast. You can find them at solo.to/sci-fi remnant.
I was just on one of their episodes to talk about Ghost in the Shell.
Hell yeah.
Turns out that's a good movie.
Yes, it is. And speaking of good things, Jordan, I want to give you props for making the opening ending theme, being a great co-host, and helping with editing.
Thank you, David. I want to thank you for also editing and putting the whole all the shit together, I
try. I also want to give props to Merliel for the awesome cover art. You can find her online at Lyle Mer, and Nigel for being our generous art benefactor. It was great hanging out with you, Nigel, last week. I want to give thanks to Dylan for assistance with editing. You can find his podcast, Anime Out of Context, at animeoutofcontext.com. Thanks to Tucker and MaxyBee for assistance with pronunciation, translation, other miscellaneous research. You can find us on Twitter, while Twitter is still around, at ShonenFlopcast, and our website, shonenflop.com. We're also on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, or wherever else you get your podcast. And come join the Shonen Flop Discord. It's open to everyone, patron or not. Come hang out with us and talk about anime, games, or whatever else is on your mind. We also have a monthly movie night. You can find a link to it in our show notes or on our site. And if you've been enjoying the podcast and want to help us keep going, consider subscribing to our Patreon. Wouldn't be able to keep the show running without their wonderful support. Jordan, what are we doing this month?
Oh, yeah. This month, I believe that we are doing a Gravity Boys?
Yes, we are kicking off a mini-series.
Yeah!
Where, Neysha, have you read A Gravity Boys?
I think, wait, is this about the 4 boys who go into space?
Yeah.
And then, one of them get to choose, who should get turned into a girl? I think that's just, the first few chapters.
Yes.
Okay. I did read, a few of them, yes.
It's probably one of the best. The writer knows he's canceled, so he doesn't care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Last arc, where, I won't spoil it, but you're like, yeah, he knew he was being canceled when he wrote this part.
Yeah.
And you can find that at patreon.com/shonenflop. And I'm just going to read off some of our wonderful patrons real quick. So I want to start by giving a big thank you to Aussie Rat, our wonderful Chainsaw Man patron, aka now Open Rum's Mystery Flesh Pit, surprisingly spacious and very moist. And thank you for listening. Along with our other person listening, T. Wolfwood, who is our dolphin dad. And then moving down to the King of the Forest, we have Albie, Cram, Gabe Lando, Israfont, who I believe is our latest patron. So thank you so much. Jacob Andrew Galloway, Josh Robinson, Kevin Briggs, Marty, Rachel, my wonderful girlfriend. She is hanging out outside waiting for when she can come in. She's very cold. That's why I had to keep this recording short.
Oh my God.
She's in the living room, but she does like making the bedroom an icebox. Scarlet Myrmidon T, who is not a character in this manga, except for when he was, the real Jory, the BB King, BB the, and Trevor Schechner. And then Jordan, is there anything else?
Find my art and apps on jordanforbes.art.
Yeah.
I will check it out.
Yeah. Give me a job. Front-end developer, please.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, then all we have to do now is to sign off. Thank you so much for listening. Tune in next week as we give our first thoughts on Akaboshi. This has been David.
This has been Jordan.
This is Neysha.
And you've been listening to Shonen Flop.
Hey, keep on flopping, floppers. Yeah. Bye.
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 So you're with your honey, and you're making out when the phone rings. You answer it. The voice is, "What are you doing with my daughter?" You tell the girl, and she say, "My dad is dead." Then who was phone?